finish on the second part of the of chapter 14, okay, on the aggregate supply. So what we discussed last Monday, okay, can be summarized in this, okay, the component of AD, C plus I plus G plus net export. So whenever this increase, it will cause aggregate demand to increase and vice versa, okay. And what can cause aggregate demand to change? Okay, changes mean the demand will shift upward or downward. Okay, changes in the, so these are the components that can cause aggregate demand to shift. Okay, movement along the demand curve is due to the price itself. So we discussed that one also last Monday. Okay, so in order to for the country to be in equilibrium, so just like in the microeconomic topic, okay, we learned that equilibrium is when demand curve intersect with the supply curve. So we already look at the aggregate demand curve, okay, which is a downward sloping curve. So this is something similar to even for the simple demand curve by individual. Okay, so but for supply curve, okay, so we need to divide the supply curve into two types. One is short run, the other one is long run. But for aggregate demand, okay, we don't divide into long run or short run. Okay, but for supply curve, we need to distinguish between which one is the short run curve and which one is the long run curve. What is the shape of supply curve in the short run, and also what is the shape of the supply curve in the long run. Okay, so for long run, okay, we assume that if you plot or if you draw a long run supply curve, usually we assume that that is the period where the economy operates at full employment or maximum output. Okay, so but for short run, okay, there is still room, okay, or still many improvement, or whether the country can experience economic growth or recession. Okay, so business can increase supply, okay, if the price level increase. So just like in the supply curve for microeconomic topic, okay, for producer, for seller, okay, whenever the price increase, okay, quantity will also increase. So what you learned previously in chapter number 2 or 3 earlier, okay, for the supply curve, when price goes up, okay, quantity will also goes up. So the same goes with the aggregate supply curve for the country. So this is what it means. Business will increase supply if price level increase. So this is basic knowledge, okay, for businesses or for producers. Okay, higher prices mean higher profit. Okay, so they will increase output when the price also increase. Okay, so so here we have two parts, okay, long run and also short run. Okay, so what is supply curve? So just like aggregate demand curve, okay, aggregate demand shows the relationship between GDP and also the price level. So the same goes here. Okay, supply curve shows the output supplied by all firms, okay, because we are considering for the whole country. So not just one, but by all companies in one country, and the overall price level. Okay, so just like the demand curve, okay, the relationship between price and GDP. Okay, so supply curve is also showing the relationship between quantity of output supplied, okay, by all firms at various price level. Okay, ceteris paribus means other factors remain constant. Okay, so that is supply curve definition. Okay, so what I want to focus for the for this part, okay, is basically on the fiscal policy and also on the monetary policy, okay, and also on the equilibrium point of view, okay, because we in chapter number 14 the focus is when does the economy achieve equilibrium, okay, achieve equilibrium when demand and supply curve intersect. But which supply curve? Is it the short run supply curve or is it the long run supply curve? So the short run supply curve, the first thing that you need to understand is that the curve for short run supply curve is upward sloping. Okay, so okay, upward sloping or mean positive relationship between P and GDP. Okay, P and Q lah. Q means for GDP. Okay, so that is the first thing that you need to understand on supply curve. The rest is the same. Okay, as the higher the price, the more output will be produced. Okay, so but for long run supply curve, okay, so this is short run supply curve. Let me go straight to the. Okay, so why I jump straight to this slide? Okay, because I want to highlight the difference between short run versus long run supply curve. Okay, so long run supply curve is always vertical. Okay, so that's what we discussed in the beginning of our lecture today. Okay, just now let me go back to the. Okay, so in this slide, okay, long run supply curve assume that the economy operates at full employment or maximum output. Okay, so if you compare this slide with the one here, okay, so long run supply curve is a vertical line at the level. So this is okay, whenever whenever you draw a long run supply curve, this is what we call natural real GDP. Okay, why natural real GDP? Okay, if you recall from your discussion in the unemployment topic, okay, in the beginning of the macroeconomic syllabus, okay, I think in chapter 8 or 9, okay, you learn about different types of unemployment. Okay, frictional unemployment, natural rate of unemployment. Okay, so the word natural real GDP basically reflects the amount of output produced when the country is when unemployment is at natural rate. Okay, so what is natural rate of unemployment? Okay, go back to our previous lecture, okay, earlier lecture on the unemployment, or you can just Google, okay, type NRU, national rate of unemployment. Basically, natural rate of unemployment is any country in the world, okay, even though the economy is doing very well. For example, let's say we have no COVID-19. Okay, the economy is at full capacity. Okay, everyone has jobs. Okay, many people have jobs. Okay, there are very low amount of or low level of poverty. Okay, many people got jobs. But even though the economy is doing well, but there will at any time of the day, okay, or of the any time of the year, okay, even though any country, okay, whether the economy is doing very well, there always be unemployment. Okay, and the unemployment rate at which the economy is doing even very good is what we call natural unemployment rate. Okay, so this is for example, you are switching between job. Okay, you are changing from company A to company B. So when you stop working at company A, by the time you want to let's say you have a 1 month gap between changing job from company A to company B. So within that 1 month, when you have no job, that is part of what we call natural unemployment rate, meaning is the transition, okay, transition between you moving from company A to company B. So there are different components or different examples of NRU, national rate of unemployment. You can check this, okay, in your earlier slides in chapter 8 or 9, or you can just Google, okay, natural rate of unemployment. So long run supply curve is always vertical. So this supply curve shows the quantity of GDP when the economy is when the unemployment is at natural rate. Okay, so long run supply curve, the point where the supply curve cuts your x-axis or the GDP output, this is what we call natural real GDP. Okay, to reflect the amount of unemployment at that rate, or what we call natural rate of unemployment. Okay, so let's go back to the short run supply curve first. Okay, so short run supply curve is always upward sloping. Okay, meaning that you can see when the economy is moving towards higher amount of GDP. Okay, so when the supply curve is approaching vertical point, so this is what we call the long run supply curve. The one which is vertical is the But the one which is the upward sloping component part is the short run supply curve. Okay, so that is one thing. Okay, so just like the aggregate demand, okay, for short run supply curve, when price increase, okay, quantity supplied will also decrease. Okay, as what we discussed just now. So short run supply curve can also shift to the left or shift to the right. Okay, but so when does supply curve shift to the right? For example, here you can see lower wage rates. Okay, why we are talking about wages? Because supply curve refers to producer side. So for producers, they need labor, okay, pekerja, okay, labor or workers. So output will increase. So whenever supply curve shifts to the right, that refers to at the same price level, quantity produced will increase. So how does supply curve shift to the right? For example, when the wages becomes lower. Okay, for example, now, for example, during COVID-19, because there are many unemployment, so the job market now is the wages in the job in the labor market maybe a bit lower than before COVID-19. So firms or companies that hire workers now, okay, may be able to offer lower wages because they can use the argument that, okay, the economy is not doing well, the market is very slow, blah blah blah. Okay, so they can reduce wages, and by having lower wages, okay, the cost of production will also reduce. So that will cause the supply curve to shift to the right lah, and vice versa. Okay, when wages increases, okay, supply curve can shift to the left. So remember, this is only for the short run period. Okay, SRAS means short run aggregate supply curve. Okay, so what are other factors besides wages? Okay, prices of non-labor inputs, productivity, for example. Productivity means you can produce more output using the same quantity of input. Okay, for example, using machines, robots, okay, faster computer, so you can produce more output using the same amount of time. And also supply shocks. Supply shocks means anything negative that is happening to the country. Okay, for example, now the COVID-19 pandemic is causing a lot of supply shocks because we cannot move around. Company or people cannot move from one state to another state. Okay, flight restrictions, you cannot travel overseas. So those restrictions will cause supply shocks. Okay, and it can be negative shocks or it can also be positive shocks. Okay, so we're not going to discuss too much on this, but as long as you can see what are the reasons, okay, or factors that can cause supply curve to shift, whether to the right or to the left. So in this slide, we only see we use the factor wages changes in wage rate. Lower wages will cause supply curve to shift to the right, and vice versa. Okay, so this is the discussion on the wages rate. Okay, we're not going to discuss too much. Okay, as long as you know the basic argument, okay, what can cause the supply curve to shift to the right or shift to the left. So all of these slides are just discussing on this each of these sector here. Okay, so you can read this one. Okay, just to get better understanding on why supply curve can shift to the right or to the left. Okay, but the most important thing is to know okay, and to understand lah that you have around these 4 or 5 factors that can cause the supply curve to shift to the right or to the left. Okay, and to sum up the changes in the supply curve, okay, you can see this simple diagram here. So lower wages rate, okay, lower prices of inputs, increased productivity, beneficial or positive supply shock will cause supply curve to shift to the right. Okay, and the opposite happen will cause supply curve to shift to the left. Okay, so this is for this slide here. Okay, and then we are going straight to this equilibrium. Okay, first we are talking about short run equilibrium. Why short run? Because short run you are only looking at the short run supply curve. Okay, remember for aggregate demand there is no short run or long run aggregate demand. Okay, just one AD curve. Okay, which is the short run aggregate supply. Okay, so just like the demand and supply that you learned earlier before in the semester, when the two curves intersect, so we are at equilibrium. But this equilibrium is what we call short run equilibrium. Okay, because we are only looking at the upward sloping supply, short run supply curve. Okay, so similarly to what you learned before, okay, whenever the supply curve or the demand curve, aggregate demand curve, or the aggregate short run supply curve shift to the right or shift to the left, it can cause the GDP to increase or to decrease depending on which graph that moves. Okay, so again, we are not going to go into detail because I think this is quite similar to what you learned before. If the aggregate demand curve shift to the right, you will experience, I mean, the country will experience higher price and also higher GDP. Okay, but if the short run supply curve shift to the right, okay, prices will go down, but quantity of GDP will increase. Okay, remember the y-axis is always real GDP, okay, not normal GDP. So we are only looking at the equilibrium in terms of real GDP. Okay, so this is only in the short run. Okay, so short run supply curve, okay, can shift to the right or shift to the left. Okay, so going back to this concept of natural real GDP, okay, and also natural unemployment. So as what I mentioned just now, okay, when you learn about natural rate of unemployment, okay, so unemployment due to normal situation means that even though everyone, many people are having jobs, okay, the economy is doing very good, but there will always be unemployment. Okay, and that unemployment, what we call natural unemployment rate. Okay, the word frictional and structural. Okay, for example, you can go back to your slides, okay, or your notes when we discuss on this topic here, so that you can get better understanding. Okay, but as long as you can relate, okay, the word natural GDP and natural unemployment is GDP that occurs when the economy is producing at full capacity. Okay, so and the real GDP is produced when the economy is in long run equilibrium. So the word long run equilibrium is very important because we are talking about the long run situation, and in the long run we are not talking about the short run supply curve. Okay, we're not talking about the SRAS, but we are talking about the LRAS, long run aggregate supply. So whenever we talk about natural real GDP, okay, we are talking about the long run period, okay, is when okay, the supply curve is vertical. Okay, so as what I mentioned earlier just now. Okay, so we already discussed this part. Long run supply curve is vertical. Why vertical? Because when the graph is vertical, the output remain constant regardless of what happened in the price level. Why is vertical? Because at this stage, okay, the output remain the same because the economy is already producing at the full employment, okay, or maximum output level. Okay, the word full employment, okay, do not get confused with the natural unemployment. Sorry, with the term natural unemployment. Okay, natural unemployment is not equal to full employment. Okay, what you see here, the word full employment, even though the word full employment is used, but even though full employment is used, there always be unemployment. Okay, full employment means the workforce, okay, or the labor market is working. People have jobs. Okay, so the word full employment is the economy is working at its full capacity, but there will always be some people out of jobs, okay, due to frictional and also structural factors, as what was discussed earlier in chapter 8 or 9, okay, when we discussed about the unemployment topic. Okay, so I gave an example just now. You are switching between jobs, okay, from company A to company B. So in between the time you are changing from job A to job B, let's say you have, let's say, 1 or 2 months break, okay, between switching from company A to company B. So that 1 month or 2 months break, okay, is part of the natural rate of unemployment. Okay, so long run supply curve reflects the output is producing at the maximum capacity, okay, or what we call the natural real GDP, okay, natural real GDP, okay. So it's vertical because the output cannot be increased or cannot be increased anymore. This is the full employment level, okay. So regardless price increase or decrease, the natural real GDP, okay, remains constant or remains the same lah. Okay. So an increase in price does not affect any of this. So it does not affect the natural output value. Okay. So what we discussed, whether price goes up or price goes down, the real GDP, the natural real GDP remains the same. Okay. So make sure that you can or that you use this term. Okay. Whenever you are referring to the long run period, okay, we are talking about the natural real GDP. Okay. The output where the that reflects the when long run supply curve, okay, intersect with the X axis, okay, with the GDP axis here. Okay, so equilibrium states of the economy. Okay, short run equilibrium is when the short run supply curve intersect with the aggregate demand curve. So this point is the short run supply equilibrium. Okay, but long run equilibrium, okay, we don't look at the short run supply curve. Okay, we only look at the when the long run supply curve intersect with the aggregate demand curve. So the point where the LRAS intersect with the AD, so this is the point of equilibrium in the long run. But for the short run, okay, is when the SRAS intersect with the aggregate demand curve. Okay, so short run equilibrium, okay, as what we refer to this previous slide just now, okay, so it's similar here, okay, when the SRAS intersect with the long run supply curve. So here is for the long run equilibrium, okay, so when the long run supply curve, okay, the QN here is referring to the natural real GDP, okay, so remember QN, the symbol, the subscript N refers to natural real GDP, okay, when the long run aggregate supply curve intersect with the aggregate demand curve. Okay, so here, okay, then we go straight to this fiscal policy and also monetary policy. Okay, so as what we discussed earlier this week, and okay, and also we already discussed the term fiscal policy and also monetary policy, I think in chapter 13 or chapter 12 before. So fiscal policy is by changing G and T. Okay, G means government expenditure, T refers to taxes. Okay, tax. Okay, so fiscal policy is done by the government. Okay, by changing G and also T. Okay, so these are the two instruments or the two methods, okay, that the government can play around in order to affect the economy. Okay, and just as what we discussed earlier just now, okay, in macroeconomy we can divide these two concepts into expansionary or contractionary fiscal or monetary policy. So that is what we discussed just now. Okay. Okay, so this one we're not going to discuss this slide here. Okay. Okay, so this one, usually the main focus is these two, whether we expand or we contract. Okay, expand is usually to increase economic growth, whether the economy is very slow due to recession. Okay, for example, pandemic 19 problems, the economy is not doing very well, so the government will employ or will use expansionary fiscal policy, as what you hear from the news a few days ago when the government announced another package, okay, to help those affected by the COVID-19. Okay, so that is part of what we call expansionary fiscal policy. Okay, so the opposite of that will be contractionary fiscal policy. So these are the main focus of our syllabus here: expand or contract. Okay, so how does fiscal policy affect aggregate demand? Okay, so we know that the component of aggregate demand is C plus I plus G plus X minus M. C plus I plus G plus X minus M. So we already discussed that one many times. So how does by changing government expenditure or changing the tax, okay, can affect aggregate demand? So increase in, for example, okay, a decrease in government expenditure, okay, because G is part of the injection. If you recall from our discussion in the calculation of GDP, okay, injection and also leakages. Okay, we also discussed that. So G is part of injection. So when this decrease, so AD will also decrease, shift to the left. But tax is part of leakages, meaning that money going out, okay, to the from the consumer's perspective. So when the government, for example, reduce tax, okay, reduce tax means there will be more cash. Okay, people will have more cash in hand. Okay, so that will cause the demand curve to shift to the right. Okay, a decrease in tax means lower tax rate, people have more money, so aggregate demand will increase or shift to the right. So whether the government employ expansionary or contractionary fiscal policy, that is depend on the situation of the economy. Okay, so expand is for recessionary gap. The word recession, the word recessionary from the root word recession, okay, which means the country is doing, the economy is very, I mean, it's not doing well, okay, recession, okay. So recession is when, okay, there are many unemployments, many companies have to shut down, okay, people are without jobs, okay, there are many poor people, I mean, the level of output is low. So the best scenario to describe recession is now lah, during this pandemic, COVID-19. Okay, so when any economy is in a recession, so it's normal for the government to employ expansionary fiscal policy. Okay, so the word expand is to improve aggregate demand. Okay, because okay, so if you okay, so for example, by increasing government tax or decreasing tax. So expansionary means, okay, for expansionary, the government will use increase in G and also reducing tax. Okay, so to expand the economy is by combining increasing government spending and also at the same time reducing the tax level. Reducing tax means people will have more money because we pay less tax. So that will cause aggregate demand curve to shift to the right. Okay, as what you see here. Okay, so the opposite for expansionary will be for contractionary. So contractionary will cause aggregate demand curve to shift to the right, to the left from 81 to 82, as what you see here. So it's just the opposite movement, shifting to the right for expansionary, okay, shifting to the left for contractionary. So if increasing government spending and decreasing tax is part of expand, then contractionary means reducing the government spending and at the same time increasing tax. So that will be part of expansionary, contractionary fiscal policy, reducing spending and increasing tax. Okay, so that is part of contractionary fiscal policy, and that will cause the aggregate demand curve to shift to the left. Okay, so that is the what you need to understand from the discussion of expansionary or contractionary. Okay, so why does the government, okay. Okay, so if you want, okay, for this slide, okay, expansionary fiscal policy, the discussion actually is only for this particular graph, okay. So this graph is not part of the discussion. That will be done for the next slide, okay. So in this slide, if you want to, whenever you read this slide, okay, so expansionary fiscal policy, okay, the discussion is here because that will cause the aggregate demand curve to shift to the right. But on the following slide, here, contractionary fiscal policy is when the government want to reduce the inflation. Okay, for example, the economy is growing too fast, okay, and that has caused inflation to go up, price level to go up, okay. So if the government want to slow down or want to reduce the level of inflation, okay, so what the government can do is by using contractionary fiscal policy. So contractionary fiscal policy is what? Is by reducing the government spending and at the same time increasing tax. Okay, increased tax means when people need to pay more tax, they will have less money to spend. Okay, and at the same time, when the government reduce government spending, okay, also the economy will have lower amount of expenditure. So that will cause the aggregate demand to shift to the left. So for this contractionary, okay, refer to this graph alone, okay, which cause the aggregate demand curve to shift to the left. Okay, so that is okay, so that is the discussion on contractionary versus expansionary fiscal policy. Okay, using government expenditure and also tax lah. Okay, so for crowding out, I'm not going to discuss this. Okay, you can read this. The word crowding out is basically about investment. Okay, crowding out means investment go away. Okay, or going out from the country. Okay, so that one I think we're not going to discuss too much on this crowding out part here. Okay, so the summary can be you can see from this summary here. Okay, but the focus. Okay, I want at least you need to understand on this concept of expansionary, okay, to reduce or to increase the economic growth when the country is in a recession. For example, now, okay, during COVID-19, okay, but the government can also employ contractionary in order to reduce inflation. Okay, reducing inflation because the price level go up. Okay, people have to pay more, so that is not good for the country. So in order to reduce inflation, if the government use fiscal policy, is what we call a contractionary fiscal policy by reducing spending and increasing tax. Okay, so just the opposite of the expansionary fiscal policy. Okay, so under okay, just like fiscal policy, we also have monetary policy. Okay, that's what we discussed earlier also just now. Okay, in the slide. Okay, here. Okay, we already discussed. Okay, so just now we discussed on these two. Okay, so what about monetary policy? So as what we discussed in chapter 13 and chapter 12, when you look at the role of central bank, okay, central bank can use different tools, okay, or instrument in order to change the interest rate or to change the money supply. Okay, and so that is part of monetary policy. So monetary policy is usually done by the central bank. Okay, fiscal policy is done by the government. Okay. So where is it now? Okay. So for monetary policy, what we want to look at is on the supply side. Okay, because okay, both on the supply side and also on the demand side. Okay, so let's see on this. Okay, if you look at this slide here. Okay, so the word expansionary and also contractionary is also applied for the monetary policy. Okay, for expansionary is always about recessionary gap, meaning when the country is not doing very well, okay, economic growth is very slow, there are many unemployment, and okay, as what we discussed just now. Contractionary is usually to reduce inflation. Okay, so the word contractionary is usually partner with the word inflation. Expansionary is usually partner with the word recession. Okay, so just like in the fiscal policy, but for expansionary, okay, the word Fed here is basically the central bank. Okay, so you can use the word central bank or Bank Negara Malaysia. Okay, for Malaysia lah. Okay, so because this is the slide from the American textbook, so they use the word Fed. Fed means Federal Reserve. Okay, or the USA Central Bank. Okay, but for Malaysia we call it Bank Negara Malaysia. Okay, so for expansionary, the central bank will increase money supply. Okay, and for contractionary, the central bank will reduce the money supply. So increasing or reducing the money supply will be part of the monetary policy. Expanding means increasing money supply. Contractionary means reducing the money supply. Okay, so this is so what you see here. Okay, if the economy is in recessionary gap at 0.1, okay, so why in 0.1 we are at the recessionary point? Okay, because okay, the short run, this is the short run supply curve. Okay, if you look at this graph here, okay, so the gap between point number 1, okay, this point, and also this point here, aggregate, okay, because when long run supply curve intersect with the aggregate demand curve, this is the long run, this is the equilibrium in the long run. Okay, this is the equilibrium in the short run. Short run supply curve intersect with the aggregate demand curve. Okay, but so this is in the short run. So because the short run output is lower than the long run, so the gap between this and this is what we call the recessionary gap, because the short run supply curve is lower than the long run supply curve output. Okay, so or Q1 is not equal to Q1 is less than Qn lah. Okay, so when Q1 means the short run output, the short run equilibrium output is lower than the long run equilibrium output. So this gap is what we call the recessionary gap. And the opposite is when the short run supply output, the short run equilibrium output is bigger than the long run equilibrium output, Qn. So this is what we call inflationary gap, meaning that short run is bigger than long run. Okay, so in order to reduce the short run output, the government will employ contractionary policy. Okay, so I just need to remember this between these two, because this is one of the common questions or common concept that you will be asked, okay, in the chapter 14 questions, okay, on the concept of contractionary versus expansionary monetary and also fiscal policy, and what is the shape of the graph, or how does the graph looks like for short run, for recession, how does the graph looks for inflationary gap. Okay, so recessionary gap is when the short run output equilibrium is lower than the long run output equilibrium. Okay, long run is shown by Qn lah, the natural real GDP. Okay, but for contractionary or for inflationary gap happens when the the short run output is bigger than the long run output. Okay, so that is what you see from this graph here lah. Okay. Okay, so if what you see here just now, okay, so the graph on the top here, okay, when the short run output is lower than the long run output is what we call recessionary gap. So how does the government use expansionary policy to increase the output? Okay, we know that when the country is in recession, okay, the government will use expansionary policy, whether fiscal policy or monetary policy. Okay, so when the economy is has this recessionary gap, okay, the government will employ expansionary policy. Okay, just now we discussed about the fiscal policy. Now we are talking about the monetary policy. So how does the government use the monetary policy or expansionary monetary policy to overcome, okay, to overcome this recessionary gap? So that is discussed here lah. You can see the movement quite simple actually. Okay, so the economy is in recessionary gap at 0.1. Okay, 0.1 is when the short run supply curve intersect with the long run with the aggregate demand curve at Q1. Okay, by itself the economy may eventually move to 0.2 at Qn. Okay, which means that okay, even though the government does nothing, okay, let the market correct itself, meaning that from point number one, okay, it will move, okay, eventually, okay, using the market forces, let the market correct itself. So point number one may eventually move to point number two. Point number two is the long run output, okay. But if the government wants to intervene, for example, if movement from point number one to point number two is too long or is too slow, okay, so the government might want to intervene or want to interfere lah, okay, intervene in the market, okay. The government can do this by changing the aggregate demand curve, okay, meaning that increasing aggregate demand curve by using the expansionary monetary policy. For example, reducing the interest rate, okay, or increasing the money supply, okay, for example. So that will cause aggregate demand to shift from AD1 to AD2. So, and then that will cause the equilibrium move from Q1 to Qn lah. So you can see here, by using expansionary policy, okay, the graph that will change is not the supply curve, but the aggregate demand, because when the government use whether fiscal policy or monetary policy, the aim is to change the aggregate demand, okay, because supply curve is that one is from the producer side, okay. When the government reduce tax, increase government expenditure, that is part of to increase aggregate demand. The same goes with monetary policy. When the government use monetary policy, for example, by reducing the interest rate. Reducing interest rate means people will want to borrow more from the bank. Okay, when they borrow more from the bank, that will cause aggregate demand to increase because people can spend more. When they borrow money from the bank, they have more money to spend. That will cause the aggregate demand to shift upward lah. Okay, so whenever the government, for example, in this example here, okay, when the economy is facing recessionary gap, okay, a recessionary gap means the short run output is lower than the long run output. So in order to correct for this, the government might use what we call expansionary, okay, expansionary policy, okay, by increasing money supply. So how does this happen? Okay, it will increase aggregate demand curve, or it will shift the aggregate demand curve to the right. Okay, so that you can eliminate the recessionary gap. Okay, so where is the recessionary gap? The gap is when the gap is between Qn minus Q1 lah. So whenever Q1 is less than Qn, short run output is less than the equilibrium of the long run output. This is the recessionary gap. Okay, and the opposite will be true lah for when the economy is facing inflationary gap. So inflationary gap happens when short run output is bigger than the long run output. So if the government does nothing, the economy will correct itself, but this might take too long or very slow process. So if the government want to correct this quickly, okay, by using their own policy. So for example here, when the economy is facing inflationary gap, okay, inflation means prices is going up too fast. Okay, you are, for example, 1 kilo of chicken from 5 ringgit, let's say jump from 5 ringgit to 8 ringgit. So if the price is moving too fast or too high, so the government might want to intervene, okay, to reduce the inflation. So when short run output is bigger than the long run output, that is when we have inflationary gap. And in order to overcome this problem, okay, the government can employ what we call as contractionary policy by reducing the money supply. So what will happen when the government employ contractionary monetary policy? Aggregate demand curve will shift to the left. It's just the opposite of the expansionary. Expand will cause AD to shift to the right. Okay, contractionary, okay, or inflationary gap will cause the AD curve to shift to the left. Okay, so inflationary gap is always about reducing the output value. Okay, recessionary gap is always about increasing the output because the economy is doing very, very bad. So the government want to increase the economic activity. Okay, but inflation means that the economy is moving too fast. So the government want to slow down by reducing the aggregate demand. So this is what you see here, lah. Okay, between expansionary monetary policy and also, expansionary versus contractionary, whether it's for fiscal policy or for monetary policy. Okay, so I think we have finished chapter number 14 lah. With that slide, okay, we have already finished chapter number 14. Okay, so it's 2:04 p.m. So maybe we can do a few questions on some of the past years from the, okay, to continue from what we discussed on last week. Okay, so let's see on discussion on this. Okay, I'm going just to discuss maybe just some, just only some questions. Okay, the rest, okay, okay, I can share. I mean, I think I already shared with you this question in your WhatsApp before. Okay, so you can discuss with your friends. Okay, so for example, question number 71. Okay, what is aggregate demand? Okay, question 71. Okay, I think 71, the answer is quite obvious. Okay, it should be D lah. Okay, the output value, the real GDP. Okay, real output value, the people are willing and able to buy, because this is on the demand. So it's not about selling. Selling nothing to do with aggregate demand. Okay. YC is not correct. Okay, people are willing, able to buy and to sell. Okay, because you even have the word selling here. Okay. A is similar to D, but the difference is that at a particular price. Okay, not just at one price, but at different price level. Okay, because when you draw your aggregate demand, okay, there are many prices on this line here. Okay, so that is what it means by different price level. Okay, 72. Why aggregate demand curve slope downward? Okay, so we already discussed this in your slide last Monday. Okay, so the YAD slopes downward. Okay, so those who answer B is correct lah. Okay, price level fall, purchasing power rises. Okay, so we're not talking about the income level here. Okay, aggregate demand, because the curve is about looking at the relationship between price and quantity. Okay, so we also talk about the purchasing power or the wealth effect. Okay, so you can check back your slides. Okay, when we discuss on this factor. Okay, why the curves the apa itu? Okay, the real balance or the wealth effect lah. Okay, we're talking about the purchasing power factor. Okay, so that is Okay, so we only discuss these three factors: real balance, interest rate, or international trade. Okay, so the question that you see here is talking about the real balance effect when we talk about purchasing power. Okay, 73. So I think this is one of the easiest one lah. You should get this answer, this question correct. Okay, so I think I mentioned this concept many times. Okay, this week. Okay, movement along the curve always about changes in the price level. Okay, shifting the graph is other than price. That's why you have the assumption ceteris paribus. Ceteris paribus mean other factors remain constant. Okay, if you're talking about movement along the curve, you're talking only about the changes in the price level. But shifting in the graph is because other than the price level. So that is, okay, so the answer should be D lah. Okay. Okay, 74. Okay, business optimism. Okay, optimism means people are optimistic, very positive. Okay, so if business is very positive about future sales, tends to what? Tends to increase or decrease, and shifting the demand curve to the. Okay, so if you're positive about the economy, if you feel that the economy will grow, okay, COVID-19 will go away in the next few months, okay, hopefully maybe by the end of the year, so people can start traveling again, business can start or can open as usual. So that will cause investment to increase in investment and demand curve to shift to the right lah. Okay, so I think this is, you can just use your own logic lah. Okay, no need to. Okay. Okay, the relationship between supply curve, short run supply curve, SRAS, and the price level indicates what? So we just discussed this one. So what is the relationship about price and quantity? Okay, 75. Okay, so it should be, I think this is very straightforward. Okay, so the supply curve shows the relationship between price and quantity. Okay, so the answer should be B lah. That's what you choose there. Okay, so we skip 76. We do, okay, 77. Okay, so I think we already discussed what are the reasons that can cause the supply curve to shift here. Okay, supply curve will shift because of wages, wage rates, non-labor inputs, productivity, supply shocks. Okay, and it is summarized here in this graph here. So supply curve will shift to the right if these factors happen, shift to the left if these factors happen. So here, shifting the supply curve rightward. Rightward means to the right lah. So 77. Okay, so I think, okay, 77, we are talking about an increase in labor productivity will cause the supply curve to shift rightward and the price to level to decrease lah. So which something that you see here. Okay, so the graph shift downward. Okay, so of course, if you are given, okay, so AD and AS, okay, so if AS shifts to the right, okay, so this is S1, this is S0, so quantity will increase and price will fall. Okay, so I just want to highlight the decrease in the price level. Okay, so answer should be B. Okay, 78, I think not, we can skip that one. 79, increase income tax. Never mind. I think 80 also not that relevant for your final exam. Never mind. What else? The rest is on money supply. I think we already discussed that. Okay. I may share you some of some past year's questions. Okay. Later in your WhatsApp group. Okay. And you can discuss those questions with your friends. Okay. And okay. You have one more quiz, right? Quiz number 2. Okay, so quiz number 2 is basically similar topics that you need to prepare for your test number 4. But of course, I think only 10 questions, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, a very simple test. So, so what we will do is that